Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Women in Leadership Symposium live Q&A with our 2023 Women in Leadership Scholarship winner, Fiona Windsor. My name is Mojca Bizjak-Mikic. I'm the Interim Chief Executive at the Council of Ambulance Authorities, and I'm delighted to be your host for the webinar today. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, Maori, and Motu Koita peoples joining us today. We're thrilled to have so many registrations joining us live today, and thank you very much for taking the time. Fiona Windsor is an inspiring leader at Ambulance Victoria, recognized for her focus on people and her encouragement of teamwork and clinical excellence. As a mum, she appreciates the difficulties women encounter in balancing professional and family life and actively promotes gender equality and inclusivity. Known for her approachable nature and dedication to continuous learning, Fiona also supports volunteer first responders by providing them with the essential skills and knowledge to serve the communities that they serve. Her leadership, marked by humility and generosity, sets a positive example and makes a meaningful difference throughout the organization. Now, if you want to learn a bit more about Fiona's insights on women in leadership scholarship, we highly recommend reading her wonderful opinion article in the issue 17 of First Magazine. You can access it through the CAA website. Now, before we get started, a bit of housekeeping, please. The video that you're about to watch was recorded at the 2024 Women in Leadership Symposium in Sydney last year, where Fiona and I had the pleasure of sitting down with her and talking about her scholarship experience and the learnings that she's taken from that. Following the recording, Fiona is going to join us live for a Q&A, so please ask any questions throughout the presentation, and then during the live Q&A, I'm going to be able to pick those up. And then lastly, towards the end of the webinar, we put together a short little poll for you to complete. That's really important for us to get the insights to see how our webinars are going and what your experience with the CAA is. Thank you so much for being here today, and enjoy the recording, and I will see you shortly after the recording.
We're going to have two very special women who are coming onto the stage. So we're going to have Mojca, who's the General Manager of CAA and the 2023 Women in Leadership Scholarship winner, Victoria, who will now have a conversation-style chat with Fiona about her experience. Whilst they are coming onto the stage, let me introduce Fiona to you all. So Fiona Windsor serves as a Senior Team Manager at Ambulance Victoria. Her leadership has been recognised through the 2023 Council of Ambulance Authorities Women in Leadership Scholarship. Fiona's leadership style emphasises people-focused management. She encourages teamwork and empowers colleagues to deliver clinical excellence. As a mother, she understands the challenges faced by women balancing work in the ambulance sector with family responsibilities. Fiona actively advocates for gender equality and fosters an inclusive environment. Her approach, demeanour, and willingness to learn makes her an effective and respected leader. Beyond her managerial role, Fiona contributes to community empowerment by supporting volunteer first responders in Ambulance Victoria. She ensures they have the necessary knowledge and skills to serve their communities effectively. Fiona's leadership style is characterised by humility and generosity. She leads by example, creating a positive influence within the organisation. Please welcome Mojca and Fiona. Very good.
Thank you, everyone, and excuse my red face and nose. That was hard. And thank you. I think Belinda might have stepped out, but I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone. Yeah, it was a wonderful story, hard story to hear, but a really important one, and that's why we chose to put it on today, because it's really important with statistics that Australia is seeing is just incredible. So, yeah. Thank you, Belinda, again, and for her team for sharing her story. So, and thank you for listening. moving on with
I'm
our...
not sure if I can move on from that. But, yeah.
It's we had a wonderful catch up not that long ago and about today and how we're going to have a bit of a chat. I just didn't time this right, so maybe next time I'll swap the program around a bit better.
Need some free time.
Fiona is the winner of our scholarship, second winner for the CAA Women in Leadership Scholarship. And as you can see, Belinda was the runner-up, and you'll hear from Fiona now. We have some absolutely incredible women that have been going up for scholarship for the last few years. And as one of the judges, we get to read, it is so hard to pick. If I had all the money in the world, all these women would be getting 12 months one-on-one coaching sessions with either Erica or Julie or whichever coach I can drag out to help us out. You can see how deserving and how powerful having the coaching sessions is, and hopefully, life-changing, if I may add. Today because we had a chat, we've picked up a couple of things that we wanted to talk about, and it's about being bold, being real, and being supported. And I think that goes very well with everything that came up today already.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to mention before, just a point that you just made about the fact that Julie, has helped Belinda to get to this point, to be able to come and speak today as well. But it's also the atmosphere that you've created here, Mojca. So the supportive environment that this is, and that's, Belinda saw that last year, and that's what inspired her to be able to work throughout the year to come this year, and that's a tribute to you as well, and the CAA team, to be able to create this supportive environment where people feel that they can come and tell their story.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. We spoke about being bold.
We did.
And going for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to share your story?
Yeah, so when the 2023 scholarship came up, I got emailed it through my employer, Ambulance Victoria, as an opportunity that I could apply for, and I thought, oh, no, I don't think I'll apply for it, because I had long service leave planned for this year, for 2024. And I thought, well, maybe I don't really qualify, or I shouldn't put my hand up for it because I've got 6 months long service leave planned. But then I kind of thought back to other times in my career when, I haven't put my hand up for an opportunity, or I've actually had a manager say to me, or at one stage they said, oh, you're pregnant, maybe wait until after you've had children before you apply for that role. And so I didn't want to put myself in that position. I've had other people hold me back, and I didn't want to hold myself back. So I thought, I'll stuff it. I'll just put in an application and just see what happens. And lo and behold, I won it, to my surprise. And I'm so glad I did, because I have made the most of it, and it's been an incredible opportunity. But I could have very easily just put myself out of the running.
And let's unpick that one, because as women, I feel you see a role, you look at the position description, and straight away we start unpicking, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't have experience in that specific one, and how is it going to work with kids, and that. We are so good at just tearing that down straight away.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, and I should probably ask a guy in the room, I don't think that happens there so often. So
I think certainly for many men, they wouldn't have their family responsibilities as something that would hold them back from applying for a position. I'm generalising there. But I would say for many women, they would think, oh, my kids are still young. Maybe I won't, go for that promotional opportunity yet. Or maybe I won't apply to do the intensive care course because my kids are still young, or I'm not finished having babies yet. So I think that's, something that we need to recognise as affects women and maybe not so much men.
And I was really glad to hear, and I'm looking the AV team just behind Beck. Yesterday, Danielle shared that at AV, the Mojca, they're looking at Mojca training because they know that there's more men because the system didn't allow for women to be able to go through that training.
Yeah, and it's that
easily.
you can't be what you can't see. I think Erica was talking about that before. So if you can't, if you don't see a female flight paramedic, then you might not think that that's something that you can achieve. Or if you don't see somebody pregnant going through the intensive care course part-time, then you might not realise that that's something that you can do. And so I think, you know, particularly myself as a leader, I make sure I have those conversations with my staff and say, yes, you can do that. Because you might not even, they might not think that for themselves because they don't have visibility on it, or they don't have somebody in their corner saying, you actually can apply for it. They'll make the rules work around you.
We spoke about today, a couple of women have said it, and yesterday we had, just so for those of you in the room that don't know, yesterday we had the CAA Women in Ambulance Forum meeting. So we meet twice a year, and yesterday was the in-person one. And we also, yesterday had our development program candidates join us. So I think they were a bit overwhelmed by the end of the day. Nobody came. No, 2 came to dinner. I think I might have broke them. So I'll try better next time. But we spoke about us and the senior executives in the room, women. It is, and I don't want to use the word legacy, but it's our responsibility to bat for the women who are coming up behind us. And I think, you know, this is the bold, yes, the bold for you, but also the bold for the women that will be coming up behind us and saying, it's not okay. That's this small little systematic sort of, you know, makes such a difference in the women coming up behind you. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And when I was applying for the scholarship, I hate being the centre of attention. Like I really, you know, the idea of being up here and talking about myself and being the centre of attention, but I was, you know, I did it to grow for myself, but to be able to be better for other people. I want to grow as a leader so that I'm able to influence the younger or other generations coming through to change things, for the future generations. And so it's kind of, I mean, obviously it has some selfish aspects in terms of that I want to get better at my job, but the reason I want to get better at my job is because I want to do better for the women coming after me.
We said, and I've put it down, it's not all sugar and spice. You know, being in, I guess, a leadership position, and it's so funny, it comes hard to me to say that I'm in a leadership position, and people look at you and go, oh, she's got everything put together, and we've seen so far, and I loved hearing from the health secretary and how honest she was. I absolutely love that, because I went, oh, you can say that.
Yeah.
Right, and you know, Rebecca being so honest, and obviously then Belinda as well.
I know.
But it is that, like, we're not all put together, are we?
Absolutely, and it's that vulnerability as well. And I think in my first session with Julie, she was like, you've got some issues with vulnerability, don't you? And I was like, yeah. I think to a degree, you know, we all do, but being able to show up at work and talk about your personal life as well, and the fact that you are a whole person and we all bring our whole selves to work every day. And I think accepting that in ourselves is the first step to accepting it in other people as well, and being a leader and being somebody that people look up to, and them realising that you're not perfect and they accept you and they realise that it's okay not to be perfect themselves will still support them.
Do you think working in paramedicine makes it even worse? Because paramedics are, you know, you're used to seeing the ugly, you're used to doing that, you're used to putting up walls and, you know, not showing that vulnerability just through the...
I think so. I think a lot of us are high achievers as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think being a high achiever and being expected to make lots of decisions and to know what's going on, and having that inbuilt respect that often comes with a uniform, people don't often like to put their hand up and say, I'm not sure what's going on here, or I'm not dealing too well with this, or, you know, I said I was going to do yoga every day and I haven't done it for 6 months. Like those sorts of things, people just, they want to appear like they've got everything together. And I think that does come with the role and the personalities that are on the front line in the role.
We spoke, and those of you who've had a chance to have a look at the magazine, Fiona did a wonderful piece, and you spoke about being supported Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I didn't know what to expect from Julie when I started the leadership coaching, and I thought maybe she'd just give me some more tips professionally, but it became very clear that she was just there to support me as an individual. And like Erica was saying before about coaching, that the answers are all within me. And so having her just always relating back to me and saying, you know the answer, basically. She would coach it out of me. But having that support that, you know, there was never any doubt about my abilities to do my role, you know, to the best of my ability and very effectively. And there was never any doubt that I was a good mother and a good wife. She's like, these things are 100%. Like, of course you are. Of course you're great at your job. Of course you're a good mother and a good wife. You're a good friend. You're a good daughter. And so just having somebody just be like, that's a no-brainer, was really quite groundbreaking for me to be like, oh, she doesn't even know me, but she believes in me. She really, really does believe in me. And so not having that, not trying to prove myself to her, excuse me, I think was really, you know, quite unusual, because I always was coming from an environment, and I think in life we're always trying to prove ourselves to other people. So it's the first time ever I think I felt I didn't have to prove myself to anybody. That was really, really impactful.
And because I've gone through the same with Julie, probably a few more tears than you maybe, but it's so hard when you hear that for the first time, and I'm like, where's the catch?
Yeah, I think I guess particularly in the professional world, like I'm always trying to grow, and Julie and I have barely even talked about my work, to be perfectly honest, because I think she realised, well, she obviously knows she's very good at her job, that if I'm good as a person, if I'm doing what's best for me, then I will bring my best to work. And so I think having that really personalised support has been, really amazing.
I say when, you know, I've done work with Julie as well, and it was for work. That's what I went in for.
Yeah.
And same, you barely talk about that, but in turn, that coaching has made me a much better manager. That then flowed on into making me a better person, making me a better mom, making me a better wife. And I distinctly remember after the first year, I was talking to my husband, it would have been around Christmas, and I was unpicking this to him, and he went, yeah, no, I see that. Like, you are just so much calmer, and the way you react to stuff that I would usually spike in that.
Yep.
So that to me has been really interesting. The side effects of coaching that, you know, when you go leadership and work, that it just flows on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and saying that she 100%, you know, supports me, it doesn't mean that she doesn't challenge me. So it's not that echo chamber that can sometimes happen in a mentorship. So I've got a friend at work that I would call my mentor, and we have lots of conversations and she helps me a lot. But then sometimes I am very aware that maybe we're just in an echo chamber, like echoing each other's thoughts. And that makes me feel really good and really validated. And but maybe it doesn't give that extra bit of growth. And Julie would have this, she does have this way of challenging but supporting. So she'd say to me, like, is that true? Like, you know, I'd tell her a story about something, and often it would end with, they think this, or, you know, this is going to happen. And she'd be like, is that really true? Is that really going to happen? Or is that just what you think at this time? So just doing that tiny little sentence would always make me go, okay, maybe it's not true. You're right. Let's look at a different perspective. Maybe it is just my perspective clouding my own judgment. So with the support comes plenty of challenge.
Yeah. Following on with support, staying with the topic, women supporting women. And you touched on that in ambulance, not that great.
No, well, and I mean, some of it's just pure geographics. You might, you know, if you're a paramedic working at a small branch, you might only have contact with the people at that branch, and there might not be any women in leadership positions or who are offering that kind of support that you can come to work and see every day. So I think there are challenges within the ambulance sector particularly that make it difficult to find that support, but we are all leaders here, and we all know other leaders, so I think it's incumbent on us to be able to reach out and support each other as leaders, because leadership can be a lonely place sometimes, but also be able to support the staff coming behind us.
Yeah, and you know how passionate about this I am. Although I have to say I've got a massive challenge, and the group yesterday went home with homework, because I want to work out how do we bring women together when we are, across 3 different countries, but also knowing how important it is for all of us on all different levels.
Yep.
So if anyone's got a bright spark idea that things might work, please see me.
Yeah, I mean, and this is one event that starts this conversation, and but organisationally, I think a lot of us, in our separate organisations, probably need to look at some more formal ways of supporting women. Because often we're a bit isolated and we don't have those supports.
And I know a lot of people say, oh, breakfast or this or
Another
book
morning
clubs
tea.
and whatnot. And I'm like, you know what? But it's bringing people together. And if it's 3 of them, who the hell cares? And if it's 100, even better. I think we just need to stop again as women, just like, oh, and this is wrong and this is, might not work. Just push and just give it a go and continue with it.
And just do it year after year or month after month, whatever it is. I think it's the consistency in it. It's not just a one-off token event. I think it's the consistency in that messaging and the efforts to connect women to each other is where it's important.
We've got a few minutes, so I'm going to open to any questions from the room, please, for Fiona. I think everyone's still in shock. No? Anyone? Oh, we've got one right at the back. Okay. Oh, we've got a microphone coming to you, Mindy.
Thank you, Fiona, and thank you for sharing. And
Thanks,
again,
Mindy.
congratulations. Your thoughts on, we often talk about leadership in conjunction to rank and position, especially in such a structured organisation and sector. How do we continue to support those women in those leadership roles that don't want rank and position and are happy with their current role on that front line or in a comms room, who have no ambition? It's not ambition, they're happy doing what they're doing, and we need those women in those roles. How do we continue to support them in those roles?
Yep. Thanks, Mindy. I've actually had a few conversations lately with frontline staff about maybe they're not ready to take the step into a formal leadership position. They don't want their epaulets to change just yet. But they want to know how they can be leaders in their space. And the advice that I offer is I just say, well, how do you think you could improve your workplace? And generally they will come up with some like, oh, I could do this clinical thing, or I could, mentor younger people. And I think it all just comes down to the fact that empowering them, that they actually are leaders, like even the fact that they're even thinking about it, how they can improve their workplace, really does mean they've already taken the step into leadership. So however they want to spend their time improving their workplace, whether it's through, clinical leadership or team building, whatever it is that's their passion, just reassuring them that they've already taken that first step. They're already there.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yep, perfect. We've got one more.
Second question for the day. Fiona, talking about coming together, either within your organisations or an event like this, how do you feel, or do you have any thoughts about interacting with external networks and groups to get an outside perspective on leadership and building your network that way?
Yeah, I think that's probably a better situation, because in ambulance we can become quite insular, and the advice that you need is not necessarily like practical advice. It's not like, oh, so to apply for that position you need to go through this process within your organisation. The support that we need is it's more holistic than that. It's just seeing other women leaders, and it doesn't matter really what the job description is. It's just seeing parts of their practice or how they conduct themselves that resonates with you and that you want to be able to learn from. So I think there's a lot of benefit to the cross collaboration or external stakeholder kind of mentorship or leadership get-togethers.
Perfect. Any last thoughts you wanted to share with the room?
Looking around the room, I think there is a lot of established leaders here already. But what I'd say is just to go to those leaders who are up and coming and make sure that there are no barriers that are stopping them, no structural barriers or perceived structural barriers that are stopping them from applying for the next role or taking the next step in their career, because they might be just assuming that there are some barriers there or putting themselves out of an application process for reasons that are unfounded, and all they need is somebody just to say to them, no, I think you should do it, you should go for it.
And believe in them.
Yeah, absolutely, and support them 100%.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Everyone, join me please in thanking Fiona.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back, and hopefully you enjoyed that recording. We will just wait for Fiona to jump on stage here with me as well, and we will kick off with some questions. So if you've got any questions for Fiona, please drop them into the chat on your right-hand side, so you can write those and I'll see them. And Fiona, just finishing off where sort of we finished last year, what changes, organizational changes, would you like to see? Not specific to your organization, we're talking more generic, that would better support gender equality in ambulance sector.
Thanks, Mojca. Could have given me the heads up about that question, but I guess probably, without being too specific, I just wish policy change would come about more proactively rather than reactively, because currently I feel like the way we run it is, people try and push the boundaries that are currently in place within our current policies, and eventually that's how policy changes, whereas I think we are well informed enough to probably make some more proactive changes to improve gender equality, especially in our sector. Like, females have been in Ambulance Victoria for about the same length as I've been alive, but that's not that long. It's only 37, 38 years, and so I think those policies, while they've evolved over time, they kind of they probably need some proactive management of the policies to really rejig them completely.
Yeah. I had a question recently asked of me from a dad of 2 teenage daughters, and I know you're raising a daughter as well. Mm-hmm. What would you tell them, or what are you telling your daughter? And how are you supporting her to grow up into a strong, confident woman and leader? What are maybe some advice?
So my daughter is 7 years old, and I see so many gendered play and talk come out of her already. And so I consciously pick up on it. And so the other day she came out with a toy stuffed up her jumper, and she was saying, "Oh, I'm pregnant and we're playing this pregnancy game." And I said, "Yeah, that's fun. That might be part of your future." I'm like, maybe you could pretend to be an astronaut as well, or maybe you could be a scientist. Would you like me to set something up for you we can do some science with slime? So yeah, I guess whenever they like what they like, but I do kind of very proactively try and broaden her horizons so she knows that literally any job would be possible for her in her future.
Yeah. If you, and it's sort of one of those stock standard questions that I know a lot of people do, when especially when you do written articles and that, is if you could write a letter to your 16, 18-year-old self, what would some suggestions be to you at 18 years old?
So I had a really interesting teenage years. Like, I ended up being like, now you look at me and I'm very structured and I always usually do what I'm supposed to do. But when I was a teenager, like, I was so naughty, Mojca. I was like, I didn't want to be at school. I never turned up. And it was a miracle that I made it through. And I think I was probably just looking for like a sense of adventure, and I felt really like constrained by the school system. But I'm so glad that I found this job, because this job has given me like an amazing sense of adventure every single day. So I guess I didn't know that I wanted to do this job when I was going through high school. And I thought that life was just going to be boring work. But I think looking back to high school and when I was 18, like, I probably could have achieved more if I'd kind of known how adventurous and exciting a career could be.
Maybe that's the recruitment strategy our services can adopt. You want an adventure, become a paramedic or join ambulance services.
Every day.
Absolutely, every day. I say that to anyone. I've been with CAA for 15 years and I'm not a paramedic, I'm not a clinician, and yet every day is full of adventure and full of new and firsts and everything. So from today, I'm just jumped off of a full day meeting around stroke that I've got no idea about, but listening in to get my head around it, and now jumping in to do a webinar, and then I'll be talking about Congress next and stuff like that. So it's that. So I think it is for us, but it's also for us as women to share that with other women that, yeah, life doesn't have to be boring. And if you choose to have kids or you choose not to have kids, like, this is not the boring part, it's the adventure. And how do you then work around it and make it fulfilling on all ends? So yeah.
And I think that's probably like what a lot of leaders in the ambulance sector might struggle with, because when you go into a management role, a lot of the time your on-road component kind of drops down, so you're in front of a laptop a lot more than you are in front of patients. So I guess it's kind of like, oh, where to from here? But there is so much growth like in the leadership space that can be done, and so much that you can work on and improve yourself on. And I was lucky enough to do it. A lot of growth during my scholarship and since then. But yeah, I guess the adventure doesn't necessarily stop just because you're off road.
Yeah, I love that, because I think a lot of on-road paramedics do struggle with that, or even when we look at call takers and in comm centers and that, they struggle with that, like, oh, I'm not, and it's sort of almost like a loss of identity if you're not clinical anymore. So I see it, I hear it constantly, like, but to me, it takes really, like, it takes that, you need to be brave to step into that next role, because being a leader is all of a sudden you're not just responsible for yourself and that team, immediate team, and the one patient or whatever. You're responsible for a whole team that are then responsible for the patients and for their team. So I think that takes guts, and we need to call that out, and we need to probably say it more out loud, because people who do want to have that adventure. It's just different kind of adventure.
Yeah, certainly. I would echo that. It's different sort of adventure. I guess it's people like they might not see where they can grow, and it's probably very much like on the leaders above them to give them the feedback to show them where they can actually grow and and raise to that challenge.
Yeah. We've got a question from Andrew. What advice do you have for aspiring male leaders in the room, and how can we best make space for everyone and to encourage aspiring women leaders who are working beside us now? And it is that challenge of, yes, we're doing so much work in supporting women because it's different. Like, women just need that extra support. In saying that, the last thing we'd want is to leave a gender or another group behind, because it's not about them versus us. It is about how do we all work together. But your thoughts, your advice, Fiona?
Yeah, I think that Andrew's even asking that question. He's probably got the answers with him anyway. But from my perspective, so I think of a leader that I work with at work, and he always asks me like how the kids are. And I know that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but for me, I love that he recognizes that I have this whole life outside of work. And, some days I'll turn up to work and I feel like I've already lived 10 lives before I even log on. Because that's just like what it's like, having young children and a family. And so just having that recognition that I am a whole person that comes to work, and I do have, a lot that I'm juggling in my personal life and my children's lives, is just a really nice recognition, I think, personally.
Yeah, and I agree so much with that. And I'd say, it goes for everyone. My first question when I do catch ups with my team is about them, because without them, like yes, you're at work for 8 hours of the day or whatever hours, but we've got this whole life, and that will impact you. How you are with your partner, how you are if you've got kids, or you're looking after parents, or if you've got a dog, it doesn't matter. You bring that to work. So we do need to start becoming those leaders that actually acknowledge that and take that into account, because that's what drives us. Like, yes, careers drive us, but really it's the personal lives. It's the, I want to have a house, I want to go on holidays, I want to, whatever it is, that's the driving part for all of us. So I think, Andrew, for aspiring male leaders in the room, my advice, and sorry, I'm completely jumping in here, would be that lean into that side of you, because that is something that will be important to you from your leaders. So, yeah, and I think it's always nice to sort of look at who are the leaders that you aspire to, and who are the leaders that make you feel really warm and seen and valued. And then also look at the flip side, as much as we don't like to see who are the leaders that didn't do that and why, and then be the opposite.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's jump into one of your most pivotal moments of your leadership journey so far.
I feel like it really was probably around the time that I applied for the scholarship. We started doing Women in Leadership, International Women's Day, celebrations at my organisation. And just having something organised locally was just a big step, I think, for having, even though there was only like a couple of us in the room, and I led it, and just being seen as the leader who advocates for gender equality. It was something that was always within me. Like, I've always done a lot of reading and thinking and talking about gender equality, but probably not so much like actively in the workplace. And I probably wasn't really in a position I didn't think I was in a position to do that, up until a couple of years ago. So when we started doing the celebrations, the morning tea for International Women's Day, I feel like that was a really pivotal moment where I was like, no, this is actually like 100% what I believe in, and now everybody else knows it as well. So yeah, and from that, I've made lots and lots of connections within my organisation of like-minded women and men as well, definitely.
Yeah, perfect. I reread your opinion piece, and you, right at the end, you're talking about that you didn't want anything stopping you from what you wanted to achieve at work, your pregnancy, you having little kids, breastfeeding. Thank you for throwing that in. You going on your long service leave and not taking that as an excuse to go, oh, I'm not going to apply for scholarship because of whatnot. I had recently another woman say to me, oh, I've already had so many opportunities and I don't want to take that away from the other women. I'm like, no, again, that's not. I love that you spoke about this. Your thoughts? Expand on that a bit more.
Yeah, so I'm still the same. Like, I mean, sometimes maybe people think that I bite off more than I can chew. I know my mother always thinks that I bite off more than I can chew, but so far I've managed to balance it all, and that is just my personality. So I've realized that I like adventure. I like to do a lot, and I don't like to give up an opportunity if it's in front of me. And so I do try and do a lot, and I haven't regretted it yet. I even went through the same thing late last year when I was applying for uni again to do my MBA, and I was like, part of me was like, what am I doing? And then I was like, I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. I'll make it work. I can do it over 4 years. I'll do one subject a trimester. And yeah, I haven't regretted that yet either. So I feel like there's just no perfect time to do anything. So you may as well just try and do it now and figure it out.
Jump in. I had that when we were thinking about when to get pregnant. It was never a good time, and we just went, just do it. And then it took way longer than what was planned on, because the plan was definitely not that. So, yeah, that's great advice. Just do it, jump in, and then you'll figure it out later. And it's so funny when you do then talk to your leaders and say, oh, I'm a bit stuck because I'm doing this, and this. How accommodating leaders have started becoming, which is really lovely to see. How did the scholarship experience influence your leadership approach, or has it?
Yeah, it has massively. It's made me just try and look at everything from another perspective. So just watching back that talk with us at the symposium, I was reflecting on some of the things that, Julie will say to me, and very much like her saying, like, is that true? Like, or is that just what you think they think? Or, are you just jumping to conclusions about that? And so now I actively do it for myself. So whenever I'm just like, oh, I'll have an opinion about something, and I'll be internalizing it. And then now I'm able to really critically reflect on that myself without her prompting. And I can say, well, maybe there's another perspective to this, and I can actually think about it differently. Or why am I feeling like that? So I feel like I've really upskilled in that area to be able to, I guess, think about my thinking a bit more.
It's so funny because I'm exactly the same. Shows when you share a coach. Sorry, I had a thought and it just went straight out my head. The value of coaching. What would you say to people that are on the line?
Yeah, it's huge. I don't know, like, it's something that I probably never would have invested in, like, myself, because I didn't know what it was all about. I thought it was a bit like woo-woo, to be perfectly honest. But now I've actually felt the impact of it. Then I can't recommend it highly enough to people, and it's very hard to describe. It's not like you get advice. It's not advice giving. It's like everything's already
they just coach it out of you, which gives a huge sense of confidence and really a set of skills that continue well beyond the coaching period as well, that you continue on with. So certainly, like, I would say it's quite transformative.
Yeah, perfect. I don't think I've got any other questions on the line. Like, we can chat for days, but I know you're very busy as well. Any last thoughts from you, from your perspective? Like I said, rounding up, and I know you're sort of pretty much finished with that part of the scholarship, although you'll stay with us, and we'll tap into you and that going forward. But any last thoughts?
No, I'm really excited to, I know we were chatting just before this and you were telling me how many applicants that you've got for this year's scholarship. So I'm very excited to see who's awarded the scholarship this year, and also find out from Justine from last year about how her year has been. So yeah, I'm excited to gather some more alumni to kind of be like, we've all been through this together, and yeah, it's a pretty special thing, I think.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Fiona, and thank you everyone so much for joining us today. We've got one more webinar as part of our Women in Leadership Symposium series. So that's going to be held on 23rd of September. It is with Neil Dunker from Hatuhone St. John, as she was discussing that anything is possible on maternity leave. So that was a really great presentation. Fiona, thank you so much for joining us again and sharing your wonderful journey. And we are so proud that we played a little bit of part on that, and can't wait to see where you go in the future as well. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time and appreciate everybody else's time as well. And I will see you all soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Mojca. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.